Good afternoon. This is Sunday, August the 8th, 2021. Hope everybody's having a good day. This morning, we went back into our sanctuary at Bethlehem Church, Corsicana for the first time since March 15th last year. We had a good service. We're following all the CDC protocols, and so we're trusting in God's own time we'll see the end of the pandemic and a lot better things happening. So let's just continue to pray. Today I'd like to uh, give a tribute to a man that meant a lot to me. He passed away on August the 8th, 1976. That was exactly 45 years ago. His name was George Emmett Norris. I first met Brother Norris on September the 26th of 1967. At the time, I was 16 years old, and I was initiated that night into Waco Chapter Order of DeMolay. And he was my Masonic sponsor who signed my petition. And when he was there for my initiation and was very concerned about my DeMolay career, and I remember he told me, "I hope you get in a lodge someday." It was in December of 67. He called me up. He had learned that the DeMolay chapter was having the annual coronation ball on the following night at Karam Shrine Temple. He wanted to know, "Are you coming to that party tomorrow night?" And I said, "No, I'm not." He said, "Well, I thought if you were there, I might come down there and have a little fun." "No, I'm not going to be there." We discussed some other things, though. We had, some people were surprised, probably were surprised to hear me say that, because as much as I love dancing today, I had not yet got into that yet. I did go to the Potentates Ball in 1968, 69, 1970. Wait a minute. Yeah, 1968, 69, and 70. And I didn't go anymore after that. And in 72, I reached majority when I turned 21. But we talked about the fact some of the DeMolays had been allowed to attend a session of the Grand Lodge of Texas when a degree was put on. And also we had participated with the Shriners in the raising funds for the Salvation Army Shoe Fund drive. And I remember he said, always try to give a little bit to the shoe fund. And anyway, we sometimes we were DeMolay installations and other events that I'd call him, invite him to attend, and he would often come, and we became good friends, and he was very concerned about me as a teenage boy. I later learned that he was married, but he didn't have any kids, and that was probably one of the reasons he wanted to enter into some type of mentoring relationship. He had worked for the Missouri, Kansas, Texas, the MKT Railroad, as an engineer and had retired. He did not become a Mason until after his retirement. He was born on September 30th, 1899 in Dallas. And as I say, he had a career as a railroad engineer. And it wasn't until he had retired and was 65 years old that he decided to become a Mason. He joined Waco 92. He was initiated and entered apprentice January 18th, 1965. He was passed to the degree of fellowcraft on April 19th, 1965. and he was raised to the sublime degree of Master Mason on May 25th, 1965. And when I first met him, he had not gone beyond the Blue Lodge. And then on September 9th, 1968, he became a 32nd degree Mason in the Waco Scottish Rite Bodies, and also a noble of the Mystic Shrine in Karam Temple, all in Waco. And he really enjoyed Masonic activities, and he was talking about getting me in the lodge once I reached the age of 21. He developed some health issues over the years, and he was gone from Waco much of the time. At the time, there was a hospital in Denison, Texas. Denison is up in what they call Lake Texoma, near the Texas-Oklahoma line. And he would be back and forth to Denison when he had to go to the hospital. And then one time he was gone, and I thought he was gone for good. And to be honest, I was really surprised when I got a call from him one night. This was in the spring of '72. And he knew I was fixing to turn 21. We need to get that petition in. Wow. I had been interested in masonry, but I was I was a junior at Baylor. I was involved in a lot of other stuff, and a lot of that stuff I'd put on the back burner. But I gave it some thought and decided I would take him up on the offer. He wanted to take my petition and submit it to the lodge, and he said he would pay my fees for membership for the 3 degrees. And he was my first line signer, a man named George Erickson. I only remember meeting him one time. He was a good man. He was also worked for the railroad. I think he was like a switchman. And but they were very good friends. And at the time he signed my petition, I had not actually met him, Brother Erickson. I called him on the phone and about arranging a meeting. He said, "I know enough about you. I'm going to go ahead and sign it." So that was nice. Of course, it was good. I cleared the ballot box okay. I received my entered apprentice degree on August 21st, 1972. My fellowcraft degree on December 19th, 1972, and my Master Mason degree on March 20th, 1973. And in September of that year, it was September 27th through the 29th of 73, I went from the 4th degree to the 32nd degree of the Scottish Rite, and a bus picked us up on the Scottish Rite Temple parking lot and took us, some of us who taken to Karam Shrine Temple, and that night we were initiated into the shrine. And by then, Brother Norris was pretty much permanently settled in Denison. If I remember right, it was in 1971 that he was still in Waco then, and his wife had passed away. And let's see, Edna L. Crabtree Norris, 1900, 1971. But I had planned on making a trip to Denison to visit Brother Norris. I kept putting it off. So many things I was involved in. I got my BA from Baylor in May 1973, MA in 1976. By then I was living in Teague, Texas. I had moved there in December 74 to work for the Texas Department of Public Welfare, which is now Health and Human Services. And then I, I in 1975, I had became a minister in the African Methodist Episcopal Church. And that October 75, I was at the annual conference in Austin, and I did not get an appointment. But the following year, Bishop John Hurst Adams asked me to meet him in Bonham, Texas, for the annual conference, Northeast Texas Conference, and there I'd be receiving an appointment. And so that seemed like a good opportunity to move to, it'd be a good opportunity to go see Brother Norris since I was going to be in the same neck of the woods. Well, I left my apartment in Teague. That's Friday, August 27th, 1976. Undertook a prophetic journey. I drove through Fairfield and Corsicana. I'd been to both towns many times, of course. I went through Ennis for the very first time. Then I went through Kaufman, stopped and bought gas. Up through Terrell and Greenville into Wolf City, and finally to Bonham. When I got to Bonham, Bishop Adams told me he was going to be sending me to a church in Dallas because Reverend T.R. Hartwell, the presiding elder of the South Dallas District, had asked for me. And certainly I wasn't going to say no. So that it was on September 5th that I actually got appointed there. And in the meantime, I attended that day of annual conference, and the pastor of Quinn Chapel, Denison, agreed to let me come preach for him the following Sunday. And I had reservations at the Holiday Inn in Denison. I called it a prophetic journey because I did not realize it at the time, but there were 3 towns on the journey I would be serving in the future. I would serve for 8 years as pastor of Mastonia AME Church in Kaufman, 14 years as pastor of Wayman Chapel AME Church in Ennis. For the past 5 years, I've been pastor of the Bethel AME Church in Corsicana. God willing, I hope to serve there for another 5 years, and 2026 is my scheduled year of retirement. But back on track here. Spent that night at the Holiday Inn, and that day I went to across the Oklahoma line to Durant. In case anybody is wondering, Choctaw Casino did not yet exist, plus gambling is not anything I'm interested in anyway. I got back to Denison and decided to try to go see Brother Norris. I got his address and went by his house, saw newspapers out front. Well, he's not home. Maybe he's in the hospital. So I went to the MKT hospital and asked for him. And there I learned that he had passed away on August the 8th, 1976, just 20 days before my visit. And got a copy of his death certificate. He was 76 years old. His death was caused by cerebral thrombosis due to arteriosclerotic cardiovascular disease. And he was buried at Grove Hill Memorial Park in Dallas, his hometown. And by the way, the MKT hospital no longer exists. I was able to download a couple of pictures, though. This right here is a birthday card from the MKT Hospital Association. And a gentleman named Bill Holt posted, "This is mom and dad at the MKT hospital in Denison." And these is under Katy Railroad Memories. So the I'll always appreciate Brother Norris showing concern for a teenage boy, being sure that he would follow the right path in DeMolay and later in Masonry. He, by the way, was a Christian, Presbyterian, and very likable man. He had his ways. I remember one time he said that he ran his own affairs. He says, "I insist that a man will keep his snoot out of my affairs. If he doesn't keep it out, I'm going to get it out." Well, that makes sense. You know, some people just need to mind their own business. And he enjoyed life. He was a hard worker, had a good career at the railroad. Then after he retired, he became involved in Masonry. He had a wife. Remember, went to see her when she was in the nursing home. And as I say, he outlived her by 5 years. They didn't have any children, from what I can gather. Frank S. Land, the founder of DeMolay, was married but had no children, yet he was called Dad. He was a father figure to thousands of boys who joined the order that he founded. And we need people like that today who will show concern about those coming along and help them get on the right path and stay on the right path. And Brother Norris, I thank you. When I make it to the Celestial Lodge above, I'm going to thank you again. God bless you, and hope everybody has a wonderful day.